Hey guys, Tez here and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking you through what it's like to rent out your property in England. So before we get started, don't forget to grab your cup of tea to have with Tez and let's jump right in. As you guys know from one of my previous videos, I recently quit my job without a plan, and what that means is that I can no longer afford to pay my mortgage, so I have decided to rent out my house, and I'm just going to be talking you through the steps I had to take to make sure that I was able to find a tenant to move in. So the first thing I knew I had to do was to change my spare room from the boomer that it was to more millennial vibes, which you can see in that video up there. And the reason I've done that is that I just wanted to make it a bit nicer for the new tenant, not to have that awful green carpet, and for them to feel like they were getting value for their money. So there's a few legal requirements that you need to comply with in order to rent out your house, and I'm just going to be talking you through them and how I went about making sure that I met all of them. So the first thing is you need to make sure you have smoke alarms on each floor. So if you have a 2-story house, then you need one on the ground floor and on the first floor, and for each additional floor that you have. And luckily that was something that I already had when I moved into the house. I just had to update them and change the batteries, but they were still working, and they did go off from time to time when I was being naughty with my cooking, so I knew that they were working and up to scratch. So the next thing you need is a carbon monoxide alarm. So if you guys remember, I recently had to get a new boiler, and thankfully that came with the carbon monoxide alarm, and that was screwed into the wall right next to the boiler, which is what the government recommends. So I already had that, so that wasn't a hassle either. The third thing is the gas safety certificate. Now I get my boiler serviced every year, and when I got it serviced around October time last year, the gas man or boiler man or whatever you want to call him also gave me a gas safety certificate, and I'm not sure how long they last for, but luckily I had one in date, so I was able to give that as my evidence for how my gas safety certificate was up to date. The fourth thing is an EPC or an energy performance certificate. Now these get updated every 10 years, and since I bought my house in 2020, I had one from then, so it's valid until 2030, so I already had that going. So again, that was something that I didn't have to worry about, thankfully. The final thing is the electrical installation conditions report. Now this one was the one that gave me the most headache. So basically you need to get an electrician into your house to assess that everything is in good standing order before you can let a tenant move in, which is a bit weird because I'm like, I've been living in this house and it's been fine, so surely it's fine. But anyway, this gave me a few problems because first the electrician came and they said I didn't have an earth cable. And for me to get an earth cable, I then had to contact my energy provider, and my energy provider was like, that's not something we provide, you need to contact the Northern Grid. So then I had to contact the Northern Grid, and because this took so long, the Northern Grid came in on the Monday to install the earth cable. The electrician came on later on that Monday to then connect the earth cable from the energy provider to the consumer unit, and then another electrician came to run the report on the Tuesday, and I got my report on the Thursday afternoon, the day my tenant moved in, which was very, very scary because the tenant has to sign an agreement to say that they've seen the certificate and they're happy with it, especially if you have to evict them later on. So I did cut it close, but luckily I made it. I also had a few other issues. So my consumer's unit was not the right material. Either it needs to be metal and it was plastic, or it needed to be plastic and it was metal. But basically I had to pay to have a new consumer unit inserted into the property, which was obviously expensive. So there were a lot of things that I wasn't anticipating that I then had to deal with, which was also very, very, very annoying. Whilst we're on the topic of electronics, my cooker had issues. So the cooker worked and the grill worked, but the oven bit didn't work. And unfortunately, if you're renting your house out furnished, you need to have a working cooker, as in all the compartments need to be working. So then I had to get a new cooker because I didn't have time to get the old one fixed because I didn't even know what was wrong with it. The electrician charged me like £50 to cut the wire, because it was an electrical cooker. It was £50 just to cut the wire to disconnect it from the mains or whatever. And then I ordered a cooker online, and they came in. So they would take the old one, but it had to be disconnected already. So they came in, left the new one, took the old one, and then I called an electrician to come reconnect the new cooker onto the supply. And please tell me why I'd ordered a built-in electric oven. So it looked like a cooker because I just saw the two bits at the top, and I guess because I was stressed and in a rush I didn't realise. So I got a built-in electric oven that you're meant to put a countertop on top, and then when it came, I thought, because it had like this like metal covering, so I thought that was to protect the plates at the top, and you would unscrew it and then you'd see the actual plates. So the electrician came and he was like, yeah, this is not a cooker. So then I had to return the old cooker and buy a new cooker from the same place, so that way they would come take the old one back, because there was no way for me to like package it and send it back to them, and because it was my fault, I think my rights were slightly different. So I ended up having to pay again to have a new cooker delivered, and thankfully that was able to be installed for me, which was also very, very annoying, but I'm just thinking it's done now, I don't have to worry about it. I also got some outdoor lights installed because I think while he was there, I was like, why not just fix the old ones? Which was annoying because I got all these things done from my tenant, which I hadn't done for myself, so he gets to enjoy the house in a way that I never got to. But that's fine, it is what it is. So those are the legal requirements. Moving on to recommendations. So I got landlord's insurance, and the reason for that is I'm letting my property furnished. So if my property gets damaged, then hopefully I can claim back from the insurance, and also if the building gets damaged, I should be able to claim. This doesn't cover the tenant's property, so it's up to him whether he wants to insure his property or not. But I got landlord's insurance, and I think it is recommended that you do, because you could be put out a lot of money, especially if you've not protected your stuff. So because I have a residential mortgage and I am currently not in a position to change that mortgage, because have you seen the interest rates lately? So I decided to change my mortgage to a consent to let mortgage. Now, a consent to let mortgage is a mortgage that is converted from your residential mortgage for a period of 365 days or 1 year. And what that means is that you can change your mortgage for 1 year, and that allows you to let someone else live in that property for a year whilst you live somewhere else. Some people use that when they go traveling for a year, or if you want to move down south for a job maybe, but it's only fixed term and you're going to come back, that type of thing. So the main changes to the mortgage are that my interest rate went up by 1%. So I have to pay more every month, so my monthly repayments are higher, but that's only for a year, so it should go back down to normal after the year. The only caveat is that it's only for a year, so after a year you would have to either move back into that property or change it to a buy-to-let mortgage, but I will cross that bridge when I get there, and for now I have a consent to let mortgage. And in terms of letting the property, you can either let it yourself or get an estate agent to let it for you, and I got an estate agent to let and manage the property for me. I decided to let the property furnished, like I mentioned before, so I left my cooker, my washing machine, fridge, sofa, beds. I think those were the main things that I left, and a couple of shelves or something like that. So the letting agent came in on the Monday to take pictures, and I had to fill in a form which I've completed on Wednesday. The property went up on Thursday, and viewings were Thursday night. Viewings were arranged for Monday on the Friday, so I think people called on Friday to come see the property on Monday, and then people applied, and the estate agent gave me the applications on Tuesday so that I could pick who I wanted. So I picked, and the property went off the market the following Tuesday. So really I'm the one who delayed it by not filling in that form in time, but everything was done within a week pretty much, so it was really quick. The estate agent does charge a fee, so I think it was £300 for everything, so for coming to take the pictures, for listing the property, for conducting the viewings, for managing the rent the deposit and stuff and managing the reference checks. They do all that, and they also did a detailed inventories of everything that I had and what condition it was in, so that when it comes to the tenant leaving, we can make sure that everything's up to scratch, and if it's not, we can take money from their secured deposit, which the letting agent also manages. So the letting agent charges a 10% fee of the rent every month, so that's for them to manage the property. So I think they conduct checks every after 3 months, after 6 months, after 9 months, and at the end. And they're the liaison between me and the tenant. So besides knowing some basic facts about the tenant that I got to know when they submitted an application, I don't actually know what they look like, who they are. I could literally walk past them in the street and I'll be like, I'm sorry to say this, but I don't know who this man is, because I have no idea. Which is better for me, because I just felt like it's my first time. I don't really know how to manage a property and I don't know what my plans are, so just not having to deal with that was a big bonus for me. And also, thankfully, the rent is enough to cover my mortgage and the letting fee, and I'm not in a position, or I'm not really in a mindset to make a profit from the house at the moment. I just want it to be self-sufficient. So the fact that I'm able to do those two things is more than enough for me. That might change in the future, but at the moment this is where I am. So those were basically the steps I took to make sure that my property was let, and I moved out of the property and my tenant is now in the property, and so far it's been going well, touch wood, and hopefully it continues to go that way, because I was living in the house and it was fine, so hopefully it'll be fine for them too. But anyways guys, that was the end of the video. I hope you did enjoy it. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or video suggestions. Don't forget to tap that like button so the video reaches more people. Subscribe if you haven't already, because it really helps me out. And until next time, bye for now.